that everyone is mentally ill.
You smoke too much, it's a disease. You're too unhappy, it's a disease. You're too thin, it's a disease. You're too fat, it's a disease.
Where are these coming from? These are coming from the minds of psychiatrists that are dreaming these things up, writing papers and getting published with their names on it, creating these new diseases.
First he said that I had ADD. Then he said that I was depressed. Then he said I might be bipolar, but I don't have ADD anymore. And he said, you know, I've been noticing you, and I think you have it too.
Or they decided to love my husband and my son had chemical imbalance and needed to be corrected with a chemical balance.
There is not one shred of credible evidence that any respectable scientist would consider valid, demonstrating that anything that psychiatrists call mental illness, like diseases or biochemical imbalance, it's all fraud.
There's no reliability of diagnosis, and there is no science. It's just pseudoscience. It's pretend science.
This is one of the most open secrets in all of America in the psychiatric field. That nothing is being done that's legitimate, and they're billing for it.
Psychiatrists claim that over 1 billion of the world's population is mentally ill. In the past 35 years, the number of people taking psychiatric drugs has more than tripled to over 120 million users today. And right now, they drug 20 million school children with stimulants and other psychotropic drugs. When recently asked about the scientific basis of their profession, those psychiatrists willing to be interviewed offered nothing but excuses.
Psychiatric illness is not really an illness.
How do you evaluate if someone is cured or sick?
Cure is something we look forward to. We have no earthly idea how to accomplish. We're not good at causes. We don't know what causes mental illness.
But that hasn't stopped them from pronouncing themselves mental health experts and treating people against their will. And the results are self-evident.
This psychiatrist, man who's supposed to work to heal people, has done nothing but destroy this man's life, and in destroying his life, destroying the lives of all of his loved ones. Excuse me.
They damaged and ruined my son, and they trapped him in a system.
The way that they treated him and made him feel like he was worthless.
Kept down and high on Ritalin so they could make $25 per month.
He gave me that, and I got addicted to it. It wiped out my life. My life has been ruined. My joy is stolen.
She's laying there. She took two gasps of air and died right there in front of me.
It is really tragic. It's awful. And it's being done for money. That's why it's being done.
Oh, it's gotta be in the billions. I don't know the exact number, but it's gotta be in the billions. It's just unbelievable.
This is so big that it boggles the mind.
Take the human tragedy you have just seen and multiply it by the millions. Since 1965, nearly twice as many Americans died in government psychiatric hospitals than U.S. soldiers killed in battle in all wars since 1775. U.S. government and private insurance pay out $100 billion every year for psychiatric services, substantially inflating the cost of medical insurance premiums. And while raking in nearly 1/3 of $1 trillion annually, psychiatry cannot point to a single cure. Hard to believe? That's exactly what they count on. And as we will show you, it's how they have been getting away with it from the very beginning.
I want to see what this is. What's this thing here?
A new psychological study from the National National Institute of Mental Health. Long-term setback.
People with depression is growing wider, broader.
When they suffer from serious medical condition affecting over 20 million Americans.
Just tranquilize the chair.
Abnormalities in the neurotransmitters.
We've got a problem, and they've got a drug that can kill you, and Americans can't.
I've never seen that before. That looks awful. I don't know that means though, so what's that? Tranquilize the chair. These days, if you watch the music, so oh God, don't. Was it? They didn't have tranquilizer in the baby room, did they? Yeah. Repeatedly. Yeah, but where they put them?
Has nothing to do with
Where they putting the baby oil on? And it goes in through the skin.
the whole field of psychiatry has gotten into every facet of human life.
They basically believe that everyone.
All right, let's do that.
You smoke too much, it's
So,
a disease.
in the 1950s,
You're too unhappy, it's a disease. You're too thin, it's a disease. You're too fat, it's a disease.
Where are these coming from? These are coming from the minds of psychiatrists that are dreaming these things up, writing papers and getting published with their names on it, creating these new diseases.
First he said that I had ADD. Then he said that I was depressed. Then he said I might be bipolar, but I don't have ADD.
cages, closets, cellars, and animal stalls. They were chained naked to walls, beaten with rods, and lashed into obedience. Lucky we don't live in that era. Snippets from the
There is not
1800s.
one shred of credible evidence that any respectable scientist would consider valid, demonstrating
What? They've run into snippets? Never heard of that. That's a bit crazy, isn't it? I have to see if it's true.
Psychiatrists claim that over 1 billion of the world's population is mentally ill.
And at the term paranoia, a proponent of eugenics from Greek meaning good stock or race, he supported sterilization to prevent defective genes from being passed on. He then invented a psychiatric diagnostic system based on web surveillance. Sounds a bit like homologus. Okay. Perfect race. Dodgy. He looks creepy. He looks creepy. They all look really grumpy and creepy. He looks like he'd have one of them paintings on the wall where the eyes move. When you forget as you're walking, the eyes would follow you. And that's horrible. Suspension treatment. Originally used as a method of torture during the Spanish Inquisition, suspension became a cure in the hands of psychiatrists. Patients were kept suspended from the ceiling by their arms for hours. Nice. Interesting. Okay, so you are safe so long as we are here. What do they do to help? Raising public awareness. What's the mission statement? So the mission statement is CCHR investigates and exposes psychiatric violations of human rights. It works shoulder to shoulder with like-minded groups and individuals who share a common purpose to clean up the field of mental health. It shall continue to do so until psychiatry's abusive and coercive practices cease and human rights and dignity are returned to all. Okay. Finding non-harmful solutions. People in desperate circumstances must be provided proper and effective medical care. Medical, not psychiatric, attention. Good nutrition, physical activity. Finding the actual cause of the problem is essential. Yeah, okay. Actions to take. Oh, lovely, thank you very much. Don't mind if I do. And this is a picture of the museum in It's in LA, isn't it, the museum? Yeah.
It's how they have been getting away.
Ooh, what's this? An interactive. Kids in psychiatrist crusades. Oh, do you press that? Is it a touch screen? No. Oh, press touchpad. Oh, there you go. Let's see what they say about the kids.
We have swallowed all manner of poisonous certainties fed us by our parents and school teachers. If the race is to be freed from its crippling burden of good and evil, it must be psychiatrists who take the original responsibility.
Brock Chisholm's declaration typified the psychiatric onslaught aimed directly at our school system.
They actually said that the purpose was social control, not to pass on knowledge, not to give him something so that he can go into the world of work.
In 1950, psychiatrists and psychologists from around the world met at the White House to propose a total reorientation of the public school system.
The White House Conference on Mental Health in the 1950s was a landmark that served to bolster the idea that schools would serve the communities better
There's so many.
as mental health.
What's this brains?
Everywhere you look, there it is. Think psychiatry. Think again. The whole field of psychiatry has gotten into every facet of your life.
What's this? Diagnostic manual.
Writing papers and getting published, or on creating a new stuff.
That will get earned either ADD or ADHD.
The labeling of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, went into full swing in 1987.
There are no tests available for assessing the chemical status of a living person's brain. It's the DSM-5, which I do agree is very outdated, and the way it's been tested and stuff is.
How does that work for treatment people with Parkinson's and HRT?
Yeah.
In the past 35 years, the number of psychiatric drugs has more than tripled to over 120 million users today.
Isn't that just because of awareness? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're learning about stuff, it's like people go, oh, 20 years ago there wasn't as many autistic people.
Yeah.
It's because there wasn't as much awareness about it.
Absolutely.
I used to think it was only boys that got it, It's quite a big exhibition. Oh, here we go, ADHD. Alright, so this is Randy Steele, 9 years old, diagnosed with ADHD. The doctors held him down until he couldn't breathe anymore. He had blood and bruises everywhere. I didn't hardly recognise him when I walked in the room, and after rolling him over to check the backside, there was bruises on his backside and more blood, and nobody wanted me to see that. They didn't even want me to turn him over. The homicide detective said that it looked like somebody had held him face down into the carpet until he couldn't breathe no more. I'd like to see justice for all these kids that have gone through this. But why were they holding him down? It doesn't say any more details about what happened, and yeah.
Sounds like it's something they do to all of them, doesn't it?
From what?
It sounds like something they do to all of them.
Well, I don't see why doctors would do that, so we'll have to look into that and see what the fuck they're on about, because I guess I don't follow, supposedly. Yeah. What's this one? Greece's death institutes. Right. Mexico's institutions. Czechia and Hungary's caged beds. Italy's concentration camp asylums. These are people that died from psychiatric restraints. Rochelle Claiborne, Tanner Wilson, Chris Campbell, Chase Moody, Tristan Sovan, Andrew McLean, Candace Newmaker, Michael Wetsey. So we'll have a look at that. They're probably just live stream, didn't they? I don't care, do they? Might do that towards the end. What the fuck's happened to him then? Oh, this is the shooting. Yeah. That's... So... Here they're blaming the psychiatric drugs for school shootings. 20 million children worldwide are taking prescribed cocaine-like stimulants. They're not like cocaine, they're like speed. Suicide-inducing antidepressants or antipsychotic drugs that cause diabetes and death. Antipsychotic drugs cause diabetes. I haven't heard of that one. 1 in 4 teens now abuse stimulant drugs. Yeah. $20 million children have been prescribed psychiatric drugs.
With grotesque killing factories, unparalleled in human history. Mass graves filled with corpses of men, women, and children. Murdered by starvation, bullets, poison gas. What could drive men to commit such atrocities against their fellow human beings?
What's this?
The pseudoscience called eugenics, created and promoted by
Who's this Brock Chisholm? We have to look up.
decades before the Nazis gave the creed.
Jesus. You know, Hubbard was experimenting with psychedelic drugs and freaking MK Ultra fucking shit, you know? Hello? Oh, okay, so are these all pedos and stuff? Yeah, okay. Psychiatrists and psychologists have an inordinately high number of criminal convictions compared to the other sectors of the healthcare profession. Okay, have to look into that as well. Incestuous relationship between psychiatry and pharma. Creating homelessness. An Australian judge blamed a psychiatric antidepressant for turning a peaceful, law-abiding man, David Hawkins, into a violent killer. If he hadn't taken the antidepressant, Mrs. Hawkins probably wouldn't have been killed. Well, what about Ellie Perkins? Ellie Perkins was refused psychiatric her son was refused psychiatric medication. He was schizophrenic. He then went on to murder his mother, from being refused psychiatric drugs. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I'll cut these and put them into one of these, maybe. Psychosurgery and shock treatment. Operation Ice Pick. Oh, is this when they did the lobotomies? This is the lobotomy. They don't do lobotomies anymore, do they? Do they still do lobotomies? No. Oh, 2018.
there's a photographic evidence of that.
Yeah. Exactly. God, I thought that was Lisa McPherson for a minute there. Stevie Nicks.
The German eugenicists welcomed the Nazi
It's funny, I was listening to a podcast about Kurt Cobain this morning.
because the Nazi program could fund the very programs that they
shit
had.
himself.
The Nazis gave them
He didn't?
support, financial
I
support,
thought he did.
and conversely,
I listened to a podcast this morning about it.
He
Evidence
loved
doesn't
it.
stack up, it was a cover-up.
There's all these celebrities that have died because of psychiatric drugs, apparently. And this is a child-friendly exhibition, by the way. Oh, Jesus. Would you bring your child to this?
Their success in 1981 convinced the public that compromised undesirability
I don't know if I would.
state the burden of their existence or to die unsafe, and that killing them was an act of mercy. Then extend the definition of adherence to include Jehovah's Witnesses, Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, all unworthy of life. Psychiatrists produced propaganda movies known as the Killing Films, shown in all 5,300 theaters throughout Germany.
Geisteskrankheit ist als ein Übel eine der größten Gefahren für die Irrtum ist, dass sich solche Kranken wirklich fühlen, am Leben hängen. Sie haben überhaupt kein Daseinsbewusstsein. Wer von ihr befallen wird, dem ist die schwerste Last des Schicksals.
There's everything, doesn't it? Racism,
It first started with passive violence, which is starvation. It then intensified to lethal injection. Finally, it developed into systematic gassing and cremation.
Their headquarters were established in Berlin under the infamous codename T4.
Eliminating the unfit.
T4 program was named after Tiergarten 4, which essentially
I've seen that picture
resulted
before.
over a period of time in the murder of about 70,000 people who were deemed mentally retarded, emotionally distraught, or physically handicapped by the Germans. They were called life unworthy of living.
The killing, piloted in psychiatric institutions across Germany, then moved into the concentration camps, with top German psychiatrists as the executioners. Paul Nietzsche, the T4 director, declared,
Controlling man as an animal. Oh, look at that.
6 million Jews died in concentration camps and as a result of Nazi extermination policies. Wooten congratulated
They say
for making his, that is Wooten's, 30-year dream come true.
when you're tempted to pet your child,
an international court of justice was held to put doctors and
to withdraw
psychiatrists
from
on
that.
trial for their war
A lot
crimes.
of what they're saying that
But
you should,
American
it's terrible
psychiatrists,
stuff.
fearing a permanent blow to the future of psychiatry, stepped in by shifting the blame onto a handful of
Anyway.